I love working with the team towards a common goal.
For the camaraderie.
Camaraderie and playing with my teammates.
I play for my team.
Teamwork and the connections that I can build on and off field.
For the community and the exercise.
Because of the community and the competition.
I like playing Ultimate Frisbee for the competition.
I play for the competition and the fun.
For fun.
Because fun.
I love getting to work hard.
You get out of it what you put into it.
Leave everything out here.
Every time I step on the field, I want to be a better player.
You know, give something people to talk about.
Be happy but never satisfied.
To step away from real life and focus on Frisbee.
I play because I love Ultimate.
Find your drive.
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 Welcome back, Ultimate fans. More Canadian Ultimate Championships action coming at you. 2024, we're here in Ottawa, in the beautiful province of Ontario. It has been very warm, very muggy. Some of these teams have been here for quite a long time today. The 5:15 time slot, the heat's really taking its toll. We're bringing you a matchup in our women's division between Radiant from Richmond, British Columbia, my hometown. Oh, I will add. And
how
Tempest
home of a town, like
from
born in that hospital.
John. Pardon me?
How hometown, like born in that hospital type?
No,
of thing?
Born in Vancouver, but grew up and went to school in Richmond. So I didn't know that till 1 minute ago. A little psyched to see how Radiant plays, but how will they fare against their opponent from the other side of the country? Tempest here from St. John, Newfoundland. Both these teams coming off some pool play games where the score did not go in their favor, not what they wanted. But here I'm expecting a pretty good matchup. Devon, what are you thinking?
Oh, sorry. I'm Devon Asamoah, also commentating this Ultimate game. And I'm also expecting a good matchup, you know. To orient you, this is the third game of the day for both teams. They both took 2 losses each. One to Salty and one to Remix. Sorry, Salty out of Halifax and Remix out of Alberta. And so these should be a hotly contested match for two teams who one of them is going to get their first win of the day, and that's going to be pretty exciting, right, Clay?
I think so. It's kind of a neat thing to say that neither team has seen success in their games today, and one will find it here. You're going to expect them to both be very hungry for it.
All right, and first pull is up. So this is going to be our first chance to take a look at Radiant, and I know they have a couple of pickups coming from just Ontario just to help fill out the roster, but a nice zone coming out here from Tempest, and it gives them an early turn. Not a bad start for Tempest there, Clay.
Not at all. The zone being really effective in getting a huge hand block through that cup.
All right, so this is Wade trying to steady the ship, trying to point around, now looking for a reset. Gets a little release valve over to O'Reilly, who's dumped it straight back to Lease and over to Wade again. And we're just working it on the sideline. Bit of an errant throw there, and Radiant now gets a second chance to hold. But Tempest going straight into this zone. Tempest coming from Newfoundland, based out of St. John's, but really represent the entire province and want to grow women's Frisbee on the island. Some nice handler movement here. Lisa Liu sending up a nice flick. And that is a good bid from Carissa Ng there, but just couldn't reel it in.
Captain of the team, Carissa Ng. You know, I have to tell you something really cool here. Devon talking to Chris at the beginning of the game. She felt a little shy, didn't know what to say about the team, feeling a little unsure. Oh, we're going to be on the stream. I'm not sure what to share with you. We're just kind of excited to be here. And, you know, then to see that sort of, you know, quiet personality on the sideline and then the athleticism over here.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Carissa Ng coming out of the gates, just ready to compete and play. Never judge a book by its cover, Devon. I think we're going to see a lot of her
never
out
judge
of
a
this
player
game.
by their interview.
Yeah, I guess so. I suppose so. But she does call an injury after hitting the ground.
Yes. little winded after that. But, Clay, you've been a coach before. So, obviously, on a couple of our streams here, we had the 2-3 matchups in the pool, you know, like teams vying for that top 8, vying for that win of the title. This is a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you're playing for your face right now. If you don't win a game in your pool and you lose them all, you're actually out of contention at all for any bracket play. You will not advance to power pools, and you're relegated to consolation brackets after the first day of the tournament.
And that's a nice throw through from Fitkowski, finding Dodd there in the middle. And Dodd getting some nice experience on TCU 20 this past summer, playing on that women's junior team that came fourth over there in Birmingham in the United Kingdom. But we have a call here, a bit of a foul call on the catch, and it looks like it might be uncontested.
Jenna McDonald did number 33 on Radiant. She pulled up right away and asked her check. It looked like it did, like inquisitive right away. Did I foul you? It looked like what she was communicating. And so that disc will be brought back out to the goal line. It does stay in Tempest possession. So a foul uncontested.
This is number 77, Guerra, looking to punch in the first score for Tempest. And you can see stall count getting a little high here, but a release valve in Fitkowski for the first Tempest score.
So yeah, back to earlier, just saying, like, this is a do-or-die situation for these teams right now. If you're talking about advancing in the tournament. Goals aside, that is what they're playing for right now. Radiant had a great shot. They were moving the disc down the field and everything. We were talking earlier in our afternoon stream that the wind has been playing a little bit of a part. It is moving from behind us, so from the bottom of the screen towards the top of the screen, pushing that OI flick that went to Carissa Ng just out of her reach. And she's not back on for this O-line, so might need a little while longer. Looks about to be the same line, I think, Devon.
No, I think it's a bit of a different look now. Or actually, it might be the same line. We'll see. We'll see what names we call when they're on the disc. But looking over here at the Tempest side, we have Melissa Wheeler ready to pull and hopefully get a couple more breaks up on the board for Tempest. So a hot start for them. I know talking to the coach before this, he was really speaking to Patty Snow. He was really speaking to, this is their first tournament, you know? Being from Newfoundland and Labrador, they don't get a lot of competitive games against each other. Against other teams, so it was nice of them to just get started, and that led to a couple slow starts, but clearly not that slow coming into this game now.
No, certainly not. Zone look from Tempest here.
Yes, and this is a Vic Ta pick up from the Toronto scene, helping handle through this Tempest zone right now. And that's a great D by number 4, Carrie Jenkins. Working it over there to Beadle. Now Wheeler moving it through. Back to Moffat. Jenkins just providing a nice little reset for Moffat. Looks like they're working it up the open side pretty calmly. And that is a throw from Wheeler, reeled in by Grace Beatty here for a second Tempest break.
Good patience by Tempest, not taking any shots to rush that end zone. I have some notes. However, really good volleying the disc. And I mean, if you're going to take your time and not force anything, who am I to say anything when you can just maintain possession and punch that in? So Tempest showing some great discipline there. On the other side of that coin, we saw Radiant getting frustrated by the zone and electing to go over the top into coverage. I believe they've called a timeout here. The main thing I was seeing in that zone was the lack of any short game. It was just very big dumps and swings, and then an ill-advised upfield throw, over lots of defenders, when I would have liked to see a lot more active popping that's coming into where the cup is or coming from behind or just some give-goes. But it looked like Radiant was just playing kind of like, let's just extend the zone back and forth, you know, across the field, but really making it on the thrower to generate that rather than the handlers or the cutters moving into an easy flight path of the throws.
Yeah, and typically that short game movement's going to come from having a few more bodies back behind the disc, so you can get that lateral movement to shake the defenders.
That's right. So Tempest must be happy with this start right now. 2-0. Your zone's generated 2 turnovers, right? We had that big hand block at the very beginning of the game, and now, the wings, the mid getting involved with a throw over the top.
And you noted that this is Radiant's first year as a team. How did a team like this get formed in your hometown?
Well, I was talking to them about it. So several come from UBC and have played together and wanted to continue playing together, but also wanted to generate a women's team in the town of Richmond. Richmond is slightly south of Vancouver. If you go to the airport in Vancouver, you're actually in the township of Richmond, not in Vancouver proper. And they just said, hey, we want to make a women's scene of people down south of Vancouver here, and had the critical mass of numbers to do it.
A nice pull coming over from Jessica Wade here. Now it looks like Radiant's just going to center over there to okay, swinging over here to Gray.
No surprise to see that zone look.
Yeah, Gray back to Ing, so Carissa back onto the field. Glad she's okay. They're okay. Gray now stuck here on the sideline, choosing an eye flick, finding an outlet. Lee pulling it down.
Melt call from Tempest here, going into match defense.
And here you see a bit more of that lateral movement you were hoping for. Liu looking for options here. Number 88, Senna Lee.
Pick
helping
call.
out.
So.
And one thing, you don't see a lot of pick calls from a zone.
No, you don't. I mean, they did drop into match defense, and looking at the team in black now, I see that they are in a vertical offensive set. Contrary to zone and vertical, you might see several picks, but Radiant has spread the field pretty well. They are using a lot of space not to send any picks. Just got to keep it that way.
And Lee trying to direct traffic, and then her teammate Gray was just cutting across, unfortunately blocking that throw attempt. But Tempest is moving right away over here, working through O'Reilly, and now Dodd with the disc. That's Breen over to Guerra.
Good patience.
Looks like Jessica Wade's going to provide something. What a great low grab, digging it out of the turf by Maria Dodd. So Wheeler working it over through to Breen. Now back to Hull. You see Wade and Dodd doing a little give and go. Wade doing a lot of directing traffic here with her hands.
Yeah, I'm loving the amount they look off throws. They're not considering a good choice.
And that results in another break here for Tempest.
Yeah, Devon, I was kind of grooving that point because it's a weird thing to say, but Tempest did such a good job of looking off receivers. Receivers that were kind of in a contentious place to catch the disc or to ensure that your receiver was going to get it uncontested. Showed a lot of discipline and patience. One thing I do want to see out of Tempest, I remarked this when I was watching them earlier and also in their end zone earlier, these notes I kind of mentioned. I would like to see as a receiver, a handler, anybody gets the disc and they turn around looking for options, that someone has already committed to a cut deep or under or across anything, but they're already attacking space that can be thrown to. Tempest is seeming to turn around, and any receiver who gets it just turns around, looks for options, and has to wait for eye contact to engage with somebody to start a cut. In other words, the cuts are coming too late, or it's the thrower cueing them when the cutters should be setting something up.
Yeah, and I think, Clay, you make a good point there. Once you do catch the disc, you want to have options right away, right? And that's how this stall count doesn't creep up on you, unfortunately. So let's see if Tempest can look to that later on. But big pull by Costigan over here. Landing around the Radiant brick mark. And that is almost a run-through D there by McGregor. And then eventually the turn does happen for Radiant. So Tempest back on the attack here. Centering the disc over to Wheeler. Oh, Wheeler moving the disc over to Tobin. Ankle seam all right. Jenkins throwing it out to McGregor. Finds another reset in Wheeler. Now that's Guiney just outside. Now back down to Wheeler again. And hits the open side throw to McGregor. Pretty smooth flow there.
Yeah, Tempest was playing very honest defense. And I would say too honest. Sometimes you have to rely on your mark to do their job. You have to trust that the mark is not going to get broken. In other words, as a defender, you should just be guarding one side of the field. Obviously, you want to be in the area should the other team make an attempt to throw to the break side, the space you can't guard on the field. But you really need to commit to taking away that open side. It seems to me that Radiant is biting on any movement anywhere by their checks and instead should trust the mark to hold the force and really shut down the open side, as Tempest's game so far has played generally an open side game unless they're swinging it back in the handler core, but generally an open side game, and they're just getting away with it on jukes and jab steps and good cutting, but Radiant's not really committing to taking away the open side.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like you want to see Radiant have a hard mark, stop the around throw, and really like downfield take away that open side under.
Yeah, or even, I'm even willing to say stop the inside. Stop any break throw, really. Make Tempest prove that they have those breakthrows, right? Make them prove it, because so far they haven't had to do that. They've just been punching it up the open side.
And this is just for the viewers at home, this is a bit nitpicky of us. Obviously, Tempest is up 4-0 right now. But Tempest is a team that's building towards something greater than just this pool play game, right? They want to get better over a span of time and, grow the women's game in the province, which they've already done. They noted they started the university team on the island and a women's master team, Grind Mothers, which they do have a few members here.
7, I think.
Nice. And see that far around flick throw from Radiant. Radiant now working it through the open side here. Fang having the disc. Looks like Tempest is melting. Who over to working it through Toison. And now we have Fang again on this far side of the field. Swing it over to Gray. Gray with a nice continue over to Fang. And Fang, that's number 79, Toison in the end zone. So Radiant on the board for the first time.
Toison bringing it in. And I want to give most of the credit for that point on offense to Annabelle Fang, number 44, who had the assist. 3 possessions as slashing across as a handler. She got one up the field when it was near half and looked off a huck. 3 look-offs in a row to value the disc, and then bided her time close to the end zone and then was able to air out a shot for the goal. Really good patience. Saw everything happening downfield, directed traffic. To me, that point, Fang was definitely the driver for the Radiant offense.
And now I believe we're going to see Tempest on O for the first time of this game. So it'll be cool to see their offensive setup too.
Yeah, you're right. We haven't seen that yet. I'm not sure. We've seen a lot of teams running pods and or O-lines and D-lines. They do have an offensive and defensive line set. They did separate them. So we're going to keep an eye on that, because sometimes we see a lot of crossover, but with the score as it is, they might just stick to their set.
All right. Pull landing a little after midfield now. So already in the center, moving it through Beatty to start. Now that's Guiney with the disc. And just working it through this open side right now. All right, Costigan, a little give and go here in the middle, just getting the disc back. So Wheeler just outside the end zone, looking off Beatty. And then that is a great cut there by Kathleen Sullivan for the 5th Tempest goal.
Devon, the viewers may get a chance to rewind and take a close look at this, and I've kind of been staring at it for a little while, wondering. So I consulted my notes, and what offense do you think Tempest is running right now?
I think it looked like I guess not traditional, but it looked like a standard hex.
You are far more educated in hex than I am, sir, because it definitely took me a little while. You are correct.
Oh, yay.
By the way, and it took me a little while to see what was going on. Hex is very characteristic slash cuts, an immediate slash cut for the player in front. Timing is a very big demand in hex. One of the more difficult things. It's built on those slash cuts, the short game, and you have to have a cut coming across right away. Now, something you and I remarked when we were on their sideline earlier is it seemed that engagement for a receiver, and I talked about this a little bit game, was being cued by the handler rather than setting it up. That last point, though, that was their O-line, right? And the timing there was crisp. Every time they turned around, boom, someone was coming across, right? Caught the Radiant defenders kind of backing and sleeping on that open side under. Not a lot of yards, but the vertical momentum of the disc with small passes is what Hex is built on. And Tempest just ran a very good version of it with their O-line. It was just bam, 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 right up the field on the open side.
All right, and Tempest going back on defense. We have the big pull coming in from Guerra. And you hear the Radiant sideline cheering them on. So that's Chelsea Ing now with the disc, moving it through to Who. Nice little grab here. They're working through a bit of an arrowhead zone from Tempest and just forcing it through a bit too much. And Tempest already on the move now. So this is Guerra with the disc, moving it over to Dodd. Now Fitkowski back to Dodd. Dodd seems to be ready to do a lot of heavy lifting on this point, going almost every other now. Fleming giving it back to her. Now getting stuck there, looking for a reset, but finding the nice wing to Guerra.
Good patience.
And like you say, looking off those throws. So that's Wheeler over back to Dodd. So now Guerra just steps outside on that front cone. It's looking a little jumbled. And that's when you see the bailout OI flick turnover.
Yeah. Hex or not, or any offense really, Tempest, that's kind of what I want to see from Radiant, hasn't proven to us that they can break around and move the disc to the other side very effectively. Right there, that's what happened. Just open side, open side, open side until they ran out of room and had to throw something up that was very low percentage.
Yeah, and ideally you would want to hit that dump swing combo where you hit someone in the backfield and then swing it over to the now break side because you're going to be on that advantage. But, hopefully that's something they can clean up throughout the tournament. So now back over to Radiant. They have worked the disc up to around their brick mark and have forced Tempest to melt from the zone already. So that's Who held the disc on for a while.
Running out of time.
Finds relief there from Who.
I'm seeing the coaching staff pointing and pointing. Pick called down the field, so I'll take this opportunity to say I'm watching the Radiant sideline and the coaching staff. I'm seeing so many hands go up and pointing to our side of the field. Work the disc to the break side. Just open side all day, right? We need to see that three-person drill, that shimmy on the mark, break the mark, or...
And we just have a deep shot there. And unfortunately could not get reeled in by Twazin.
There's a call down the field. Our observers are stopping play here. It looks like it was on the throw.
It might be a stall called.
And this
and
call
that's
is
why the huck probably went up.
Brought to you by hand signals. Use them. Stall down. Hey, there's a hand signal. See? Boom. Awesome. Yeah, so a tap on the head is the signal for a stall, meaning I got to stall 10. The disc should be turned over. But
it was contested.
It was contested, but it's a turnover.
It's a turnover anyway, so it's just going to stand. Observer doing a great job to direct some traffic here. Oh, couple bids there falling up short, but now Who picking up the disc for Radiant with a chance to punch in a hold, a much needed hold at this stage in the game. Nicely over to Shum. And Shum just missing their target in Who. But again, Tempest not scared to just pick up the disc quickly. Working it over to O'Reilly now. That's number 16, Madison Hull with the disc on the sideline. And look at them, working it off the sideline here.
Yeah, I want to see that big no round mark from Radiant. And you get one there, and that inside throw is turned over. Radiant, if they continue to mark heavy no round, I think they're going to get some results.
A nice little inside backhand. And that's number 6, Shui. Oh, and just a little misconnection with Yvonne Lai. So Maria Dodd marching the disc up for Tempest here. And calling a timeout. I can get behind your stance on this, Clay, I feel. But for the people who are new to the stream, tell us your stance on timeouts on your end zone.
Back and forth on this one. The calling a timeout on your goal line in this corner. All right, when you've had a point with multiple turnovers, I get it. You want to rest. You want a little bit of a regroup. But that timeout wasn't called because nothing was developing downfield. That timeout wasn't called because everybody was gassed. I think that looked to me just like a player making a choice saying, I don't like what I'm seeing, and calling it for her team. And it's bad field position, right? I mean, I want to see a sideline force. I want to see a flipped force by Radiant. Take away the no around, put tons of pressure on them, and they'll have time to do that because after you call timeout, you have 70 seconds as the team on offense to set and get in position, and then the defense has 20 additional seconds to then set themselves up in position, and this gives you a big chance to assess and determine where you want to go. Radiant is just waiting. They've got a lot of experience in newly acquired coach Miles Liu over there, letting them know what to do and where they can go. Miles, absolutely no stranger to this sort of thing. So
how newly acquired, Clay?
Just a few days, believe it or not. But, you know, lucky to have him. He wealth of knowledge and has seen a lot of success in the teams that he has coached, including Forever Young in the Masters division.
All right. Dodd getting it over to Fleming to start. And unfortunate turnover here just outside their end zone.
Yeah, a lot of pressure from Radiant after that timeout.
Nice bid attempt there from Fleming. And
patience is required.
I was about to say easily working it through to their end zone. But, yeah, patience is required. So Dodd having the disc in the middle of the field. Just missing the inside shot to Hull. So Radiant with another just outside their end zone set. And I think end zone's one of the things that a lot of teams try to drill early on. And you know what? They ran their end zone well. That was Twazin in the end zone.
Yeah, and that patience, what I was talking about there, that wasn't so much a punch in. It's okay, fall back on our system. All systems have room for creativity. I think there's no system out there that is 0% creative and you must do everything, but you need a baseline. You need to have certain rules or expectations your team expects you to meet, certain things that your team can turn around and predict that's going to happen next, and they're a better system executed by, or a better execution of their system, pardon me, by Radiant to get that. And keeping the game within 3. I'm just, once again, now it's Radiant D-line. You know, hard for me to take off my coach hat right now, but I want to see a hard no around. Make Tempest break. Make them show you they can do it, because they've only tried once, and it was a turnover.
I'm sure if you called your buddy Miles over, he would listen to you.
Can't do that. And, you know, don't want to be too much of a homer here, Devon. I know it's my the town I grew up in, but.
Barely. You weren't even born there. All right. Back to the game over here. We have our second look at this this Hex offense from Tempest. So let's see how this Hex works. It worked really well on the first one. And look, they've already made the disc over. A lot of open throws here. Moving quicker than I can check names on a sheet, I'll tell you that for free. But we have McGregor over here just working it quickly over to Costigan. Now Jenkins faking it off. Oh, and that is some pressure there. That's number 8, Maria Coe from Radiant getting a D. And let's see if Radiant can punch in their first break. We have Senna Lee picking up. And looking for the big shot there to Fang. Oh, and just bouncing out of the hand. It's almost she went with the wrong hand there a bit.
Yeah, or she's got to go with 2, stretch her hands out, make the catch, and fall down. But reaching with her right hand, that's the trailing edge. You're going to almost increase the momentum of the disc while you try to catch it. So she actually bats it away from herself.
All right. Beatty over here. Now another going huck for huck. And that is a huge D. Getting vertical there is McDonald. So let's see what Radiant can do again, trusting Senna Lee with the picking up the disc duties. First sec a little deep right now. And a bit of a swipe by Fleming, causing Gray to miss the disc entirely. So now Carrie Jenkins from Tempest back in it.
That's Jenna McDonald again going for the D. Looked like a run through, but I think a run through at the expense of Emily McGregor's space no matter what. So this could be coming back. Observers here to help us out right away. That's observer Tiago there to make these calls. Observers generally giving players 45 seconds to work it out before the observer says, what are you going to do? Are you going to contest, or you want me to make a ruling? And it seems that Tiago has said you can he's letting them know what their choices are, and we'll get a signal of what's happening here in a minute. Foul. I believe he said
contested,
but signaled on, but I heard contested.
Yes, so I think it's going to go back to the thrower. So now Jenkins getting a second chance with the disc here over on this close on this close sideline. In at 4. So Costigan working it back to Fleming. Now McGregor getting involved. Over to Sophie Blais. Ooh, and that's a nice grab by Kathleen Sullivan, getting up there, showing her vertical off. Now Moffat getting involved. Really everyone touching the disc over here.
Yeah.
That's Blais throwing a big one to Beatty, and that's a Tempest score.
So the dirty hold, if you will.
Dirty is one way to classify that hold. but no.
You know what? Props to Radiant. First time they've put the Tempest O-line on their back feet here and actually challenging them. Tempest made a lot of mistakes. There was some great defense by Jenna McDonald at that point, generating a lot of turnovers. One, unfortunately, was a little too much contact, resulting in Tempest keeping the disc, but Radiant seeming to find a groove here on defense. I'd still like to see the Marks getting a bit closer, a lot more pressure, and really committing to taking the open side away, especially against the Hex. Now, I wonder.
What are you wondering?
I wonder, Miles Liu, with the teams he's coached, I'm speculating here, but I do believe with some of the teams that he's coached, they have worked on Hex. So I wonder if it's something they've talked about. We will get an interview at halftime with one of the Radiant players, so perhaps something we can inquire about as our intrepid crew member Desmond, who's currently working the camera, will be conducting a halftime interview.
What does intrepid mean?
You know, like... Oh, we're not doing an interview. I've just been informed. Good, because I forgot what intrepid meant. Moving right along. What's going on down there, Desmond?
Fraudulent.
Devon, sorry.
Put Clay on fraud watch here with the Urban Dictionary. A nice arrowhead zone again from Tempest over here, and Radiant still struggling to work through it at this stage in the game. Really what's happening is they're putting a mark on the reset, putting a lot of pressure on these backwards throw that Radiant would count on to get them out of a zone like this. And that would be Ali Guerra getting in the way of that OI backhand from Radiant.
I think we could see, and the viewers can see, that Radiant was very static. They only had one player popping and moving around. Everyone else was sort of standing around. That was all on the thrower to get out of that jam, something that can't happen against a zone defense.
And this is exactly what Radiant is looking for. A turnover from Tempest, and now they're a bit closer to their end zone now.
I mean, good pressure on defense there. Again, forcing Tempest to make inside throws seems to be the key.
So, two swinging it over here to Ing. Not finding many open players, but getting a release from Liu. Nice from Yu. And that OI flick coming out, and Maria Dodd just gobbling that up.
Trying to punish a poach that happened, but the poached receiver didn't realize, so can't take that shot unless you have a receiver that is wide open and knows it's coming to them.
All right, so that was Wade sending it to Breen, and that's a great shot connecting. A quick dump back over here to Fiskowski. Working it back over here to Wade on the close sideline. Fiskowski just missing that throw to O'Reilly. And so you see that Tempest is setting the zone after every turnover. Oh, and a deep shot going up, but a bit too far for number 55, Luis Yu.
I feel like Radiant is seeing the looks, but not getting the right communication they need to make those kind of choices. Zone set? Or some poaching from?
I think some poaching from, but you could see Wade trying to, direct traffic like she did earlier on in the game, and just a little more organization needed on both sides.
Yeah. Fleming received the disc, but a pick was called by number 19. Or no, well, not sure, by a Radiant player, nonetheless.
Oh yes, that's 79 Twazen.
Oh, thank you. Yep. Now the question is, was Fleming open that she was going to get that reception anyway? And does Twazen get to catch up, or does Fleming have to come back? And indeed, the pick happened pretty early. Sometimes receivers think their check isn't close enough because they keep on moving before they hear the pick call. But pick calls sometimes have to be brought back a little ways in time when they occur. Had occurred.
So that is Wade faking off the deep strike. Finding Guerra in the underspace. Maria Dodd faking out multiple defenders there. And now bursting up line. So now Fleming helping to move the disc back into the middle over to Guerra. Now making its way to Wade. And Wade trying to call the shot. Faking off that around backhand to Dodd. And still looking for this OI flick to Dodd. And that is going to work. So That's 7 now for Tempest.
Wade showing some veterancy there in the handler set, some pointing to a shot, a fake, it's not taken, the defender got complacent, and then her same receiver cut to the other side, and she throws a big OI to make that shot. Kind of knew exactly what she wanted depending on what she'd see. It's the last time I'll say it, but I got to harp on it. Radiant.
I can't believe this is the last time you'll say anything.
All right. You're just picking me apart this stream for fun.
No,
but anyway,
Coach Clay, Coach Clay, tell us what's gonna happen.
I'm really surprised we haven't seen an adjustment on the mark of Radiant. It's been the same mark all game. It's done nothing, right? Do something different with your mark on defense. It's one of easiest, maybe not to execute, but the easiest adjustment to take in mind. Y'all, we're holding the force. Like no one has botched the force on our defensive line, but our mark is not effective. Let's all, as a unit, shift around. That's a really easy piece of input to work with and remember. And then if you're not on the thrower, commit, poach, front, do what you have to do to take away the open side. Not cheat, but definitely overcommit, overcorrect on that open side a little bit and take it away.
Big pull coming here from Wheeler, floating very nicely around the brick mark of Radiant. So Radiant's going to have to go the full length of the field against this zone. And this is going to be with the help of Gray and Ta and Shui to get them through it. But you're just not seeing that much of movement from the downfield players. Oh, but a great snag by Shui. Working it through to Lai, and this has been some good movement. And just a little too high from Ty. But you have to take that as a win, right?
I do, because now we were seeing the movement from more than just one player and helping out the thrower against that zone. So better adjustment on offense from Radiant that time.
All right, and that's number 6, Tobin, cleaning up the garbage. And the pick call, but a great diving catch from McGregor to keep the play alive.
McGregor, no stranger to the turf this game.
Yeah, so it's getting back. So now, taking a look at the field now, how do you feel the Tempest players are organized?
Yeah, look at number 98, Yvonne Lai. See how she's backing her check, shift, fronter, take away the inside, take away the upline Todd. There you go. Forced it around, got a little bit of a hand block on it, but now you're getting results.
So McGregor over to Wheeler.
And then you see as they shift over to the no inside, Tempest is just off to the races.
And another pick. And again, you're just seeing this not quite stack from Tempest, but this might be their Hex offense they're working through right now.
Yeah, seeing those slashes come across.
Nice adjustment from McGregor.
Yeah.
Jenkins working it over to Beatty. And a nice floaty throw to number 75, Emily McGregor. And that is Tempest taking half.
Well, after thusly being informed that we will be conducting no halftime interview this time, instead we'll be taking a short break for this 7-minute half. Devon, I know I can harp on what I want to see from both teams, but I will not. Instead, let's take a little bit of a break, and we'll be back shortly with some second half action.
Yeah. I think Clay's going to eat his Snickers, you know. You're not the same when you're hungry.
Well, guess what, everybody? As you may have noticed in the way Devon is just picking me apart this stream, I'm not exactly on the ball this game. And we do have a halftime interview. I am here with number 11 from Radiant, Carissa Ng. Carissa, I was just talking to you downstairs about how cool it is for me to see this team thanks to where you are from, where your team is from. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we started this team this year in Richmond because there aren't that many BC women's teams in general, and we just wanted to, you know, introduce new people to the competitive scene of Ultimate because we have a lot of players that are coming from VUL, Vancouver Ultimate League, and yeah, they've been playing recreationally for a little bit, and yeah, they just wanted to try playing more competitively, so we were like, let's start a team.
Yeah, good old Minaroo Park, I'm sure, serving a lot of time for you to practice, so that's fantastic. Your team this game has been showing a lot of grit and determination, definitely not giving up despite the score. Has there been any talk of adjustments or plans or perhaps sticking to plans or protocols that you have in place?
Yeah, so we're really working on the no open side unders. I think we've been a little bit like challenged with that. It's not going that well, but yeah, that's what we're trying to fix. We also play a little bit poachy, but we're trying to stay more man-to-man because, yeah, I think they're getting a lot of unders, and we really want to see them huck more, and we want to challenge them to do that.
Great, yeah, so throwing something different at them, fantastic. And otherwise, you know, your previous games, you're a new team. You've come all the way out here to Nationals, which is fantastic to do as a first year. How has the cohesiveness as a team, the vibe, if you will, been being at your team's first Canadian Ultimate Championships?
Yeah, this is actually some of our first times playing together because we have a few Ontario pickups. Yeah, and then we had a lot of pickups too after, or a little bit before BCUCs, so we haven't played together that much. And yeah, it's also hard to coordinate everyone's schedules because they were pickups and they didn't know our practice times before. So yeah, it's it's a struggle to build chemistry right now, but we're really working on that.
Fantastic. Well, speaking of your teammates, I'm going to put you on the spot with this last question here. If you had to say who you want to see just ride their energy and their skill right now from your team, that's not you. Who are you expecting to be the breakout player in the second half? Or who do you want to see be the breakout player in the second half from your squad?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my other captain, Lisa Liu, number 00. She was laying out a little bit in the last game, and I think she's been holding back a little bit right now. She said she's building it up, so look forward to that.
Okay, well, I'll let you get back to it. Carissa, thank you so much for joining us for this halftime interview. As the squad from Richmond showing up to their first national representing Lulu Island. Love to see it. Thank you so much, Carissa. Good luck the rest of the game.
Thank you.
All right, so we are back from that great halftime interview, and it seemed like it was a fun interview.
It was a fun interview there from Richmond. This is awesome to see, you know, to celebrate another team coming out from what is a pretty dense area, has a lot of athletes. The high school scene is quite good in Richmond. There's lots of players of legend that have come from the greater Vancouver scene that actually have lived and worked in Richmond that I know.
Give me three.
Mike, okay, I'm going to give you one, and it's a legend. And because you're young and I keep saying things you don't know, Mike Azawa, a TFP legend.
What does TFP mean?
Team Fisher-Price.
Okay.
Yeah, it is not Team Forgot to Practice, depending on who you ask. But, yeah, Mike Azawa held it down for Steveston High School back in the day. Steveston High, one of the epicenters of many players of playing in Richmond.
Shout out Steveston.
Yeah, it's closed now and gone.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. Yeah, give me the right now, the today.
The today, it's right in front of you.
There we go.
Yeah, and there's other squads. You've got the Royals, right? You had Rain. Rain has come out, and I believe that was in the junior division. You got the Royals playing in mixed. You got some players from Richmond there. Maybe a few Vancouver players that really want to be a part of the Richmond squad and kind of co-opted their way in there. But
You know what? With all the Richmond hype today, I think I want to be a part of the Richmond squads.
You just want my surf jersey.
Honestly, I also wouldn't be mad at that either. I'll trade you for a BE Media jersey if that's okay.
I would have two.
Okay, so we have Tempest 8-2 over Radiant. What are some of the things that you think Radiant should focus on in the second half?
Well, we just heard from Carissa that they want to challenge the open side more. And I mean, if that is the plan, I really want to see that because I've been talking about that a lot. I was really happy to hear Carissa say that's what we need to challenge. So definitely defensively working that open side defense.
And what about Tempest coming in? You know, this is like their biggest lead of the day for sure. How can they hold steady here, like, to close out the game?
This is a really good, making plays like that, stretching out and keeping the disc alive.
Yeah, Moffat with a nice adjustment.
Yeah, but also this is a really good chance to practice your timing. We're seeing a little bit right now. This is the O-line, and the timing's a little tough right now, but turning around and getting that receiver right away, like now. Yes, there it is. More of that.
Boom. Wheeler shooting it over to Sullivan. Sullivan just right outside the end zone, resetting to Jenkins. This is very exciting. And a nice open side score for number 26, Catherine Moffat. So that's the timing you were looking for, right?
Yeah. That was number 9, I believe. Kathleen Sullivan turned around, immediately had a receiver, or it could have been the other way around with Kari Jenkins. But nevertheless, Tempest moving it up the field. As soon as the thrower turned around, someone had seen and said, well, my teammate's going to catch that, and took off, right? Operating under the assumption that on offense your teammate is going to catch it, and that what your timing is based off of, not did they catch it? Oh, they did. I better do something, which is a hard thing to work on. We know that for teams that haven't had a lot of tournaments, right, perhaps don't have that timing down yet because at practice it's a little bit easier to, get away with bad habits or get away with things when you're not feeling a different kind of pressure from a squad whom you don't know and can't really speak to, in a friendly, let's practice this and get better together way.
Mm-hmm. And, again, that's what you get throughout a whole weekend together, right?
Yeah, it is. And part of getting through the weekend together, though, too, is really working on those little things. We know Radiant now, has some little things that they're looking to work on. I'm sure Tempest will have some as well. They did say they want to stay focused and have fun. And part of staying focused is running your systems, getting better at the fundamentals.
And nothing little about that pull coming down from Jessica Wade and putting Tempest in a good position to run their zone and try to fluster the Radiant O-line some more. But a great low grab there by Ko. Ta working it over to Lee. Ko just in the right places right now to receive some of these pop-throughs.
I'm looking at the players in black, though. Everybody's moving. That's what shreds the zone. Everybody getting involved rather than just standing around and waiting for the thrower to pull something magical out.
2 over to Ta. Nice little around, just a little too far out of the reach of who. But like you said, there was some good movement there at the start of the point.
Yeah, they're just getting better and better as the game goes on when it comes to this zone offense. Some good spirit as we get an equipment call. Fun fact, not in the rules anymore. You don't have to freeze if someone calls equipment. But interesting thing about Ultimate, if the teams agree to do something, it sometimes doesn't matter if it's in the rule book or not, if that's how you want to roll. I've even heard from observers, teams can agree to anything as long as they agree. So if you want to give a player equipment, you can, but you cannot stop the game on your own for equipment. But Devon, I'm sure if we were playing against each other and, you skied me in the end zone and caused my cleat to fall off, you would at the very least let me put it back on before you ran it up to the line, right?
I've known to, in indoors, players stuck in the net, grab the disc on and tap it in right away. I'm just kidding, Clay. I would, of course, let you put your cleat on because I just roofed you. That's embarrassing enough. Yeah, it can't be that bad-mannered here in the world of Ultimate, where Spirit of the Game rules. And even though we have observers here right now, most of the time these players play games calling their own fouls. So Dodd looking over from options here. We had Breen provide a nice little slash cut. It looks like they're comfortable letting Dodd do a lot of the heavy lifting on this point. And now Hull getting involved with some strong fakes before she finds a reset in Dodd. So, some stifling defense here from Radiant, right? You know, Tempest not getting open under as easy as they were in the first half.
Yeah, more commitment to that open side defense. I'm seeing a lot more hunger from the Radiant defenders right now, really attacking the open side, racing a player to the spot, if you will, rather than just trailing them to take away the open side.
And you see Fleming screaming, calling Jessica's name, calling Wade's name to give them the disc.
That turnover, but that was the fourth look. Fleming was the fourth cutter to come under, so seeing some far better defense from Radiant now.
And nice communication to just set the zone right away. And it looks like Radiant attacking it quickly here. Nice low grab from Kelly Chu. And Carissa Ng just not able to keep it in bounds, unfortunately. But a great attempt there, working it from one side of the field to another.
Yeah, if I put that coach hat on, I'm far happier with what I'm seeing out of Radiant's offense right now. Far more movement. Everybody's getting involved. No one's standing around and waiting.
So Dodd here, a familiar sight in the Tempest backfield, working with her partner, Wade. And Wade just pointing to their shots, you know.
Not necessarily a shot, but wants her team to strike to actually threaten something. Make that something the defense has to cover and open up some space underneath that way.
And Wade putting it up, looking for Fitzkowski. And that's a great put there. Another point on the board there for Tempest, now 10-2.
So I'm watching number 7, Jessica Wade, captain of the team, explaining the benefit to her teammates of striking deep. And some of the players discussing, well, what kind of timing do you want to see? But, you know, it's something that, like, if you don't threaten deep as a team, you can't really get it going ever. And the defense just stifles you because they can kind of surround your vertical stack.
Yeah, and speaking of benefits, we saw Maria Dodd there doing a lot of heavy lifting for Tempest, and she got a lot of experience this summer playing with the Team Canada Under-20 women's team. What type of benefit did that give to the community and, like, women's ultimate in Newfoundland?
Getting out and seeing ultimate from nations that's completely different sometimes, right, at the World Championship. The demand for speed and explosiveness and all those sort of things are obviously a factor with Team Canada that every player has to adapt to. So she will bring back all that experience, and through, you know, passive competition with her teammates or active telling or showing, she can bring back so much experience to the community. And also, you know, the community can say, hey, look, we are having young players make Team Canada. This can happen here. Let's keep playing together. There is these possibilities for us. It is achievable, and that will drive people to commit harder to their community's ultimate scene.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point there. As soon as you see someone similar to you or like you do something, you believe you can do it yourself, right? So she came out of that Newfoundland Storm program, you know, that growing juniors program, and now other juniors can join that program and say, look, hey, she made Team Canada, and she grew up where I grew up, so why can't I too? And that's a beautiful thing. Now back to this. Tempest has not left this Arrowhead zone, and why would they? Because it's given them a lot of success here. But Radiant's looking a lot more confident this half, and a big throw through there. Feng to number 98, Yvonne Lai. Ko getting it back, working it over to Ng, Chelsea Ng this time. Now Fang back. Tempest has melted outside of this zone. And that is Lai looking for and finding number 77, Shum, for Radiant's first score of the second half. How exciting.
Yvonne Lai looked off 2 huck opportunities that were very, very tempting. But to players that were running away while at the same time facing her, basically saying, I could go deep for you, but I'm not at full speed. and I'm going to be, I'm going to have to turn around and swivel my hips and lie intelligently. Held on to the disc, some pump fakes, took the easy options until she had someone come out of the vertical stack, or at least from the middle to the side in the end zone, where she could really float a throw out to space. So really good decision-making by Yvonne Lai there. And, we've seen a few players. We saw Feng earlier as well kind of just take their time with the disc in the middle and take the intelligent shots. I'd say this half, or as the game has progressed, I mean, Radiant has improved in so many ways. They're challenging more on defense on the open side. They're being smarter with their throws. The errors are still happening, yes, but far more has come through a rapid improvement in the second half by the team in black.
Yeah, and this is number 24, Catherine Gray here with the pull, getting it around the brick mark, but Wade wasting no time getting involved. And now they're already at their they're attacking red zone here. Oh, and that is a run through D by McDonald.
Jenna McDonald again. That's her fourth on the day, I think.
Breathing some life into this Radiant D-line group, looking for their first break of the game. I think a pick was called, stopping the flow of the break chance.
The pick calls, for those that don't know, have to be acknowledged by the thrower. If the thrower were to throw a turnover, or any throw really, that disc is still live. They are the ones where the play actually stops with. So good on McDonald to chase that down despite having stopped.
And big huck over from Lee, picked off by McGrath. Oh, by Hull, I believe. A nice D to stop there. Now Guerra over. Now working it back to Fitzkowski. Big huck there, looking for Fleming. And they've had a couple of those nice deep strikes this game, right?
Yeah, good timing. Fleming saw that was happening all the way. She looked back, knew that Fitzkowski was going to catch that, and then took off right away. Fleming's my favorite player on this team. Can I tell you why?
Why?
Last match, when they were playing Salty, she went for a dump and hit the ground and looked like she went down. She didn't make a call or anything. She got right back up. She was back in the game, ready to go. And all the other players were like, whoa, are you okay? And she goes, it's just a rolled ankle. Let's play. And, I don't want to advocate for playing through an injury, as most of my Ultimate friends are in some physiotherapy profession of some kind. But at the same time, you love to see that grit and that desire in a player. And I went and asked her about it. I'm like, I can't believe you did that. And her response basically was like, yeah, and I was just like, okay, you are a machine. I am not built like you.
Yeah,
you
built
say
different.
that, right?
Built different is what you would say.
So close.
You were so close. You knew it. You had the fundamentals down. It's like the sentence structure is there. It's just the word placement. But I like that you're going for it.
Yeah.
Just like Grace Beatty's about to go for this pull, and a nice deep pull, nice hang time. This Tempest zone is surely going to be able to set. And look at it. Nice arrowhead. So Ta working it laterally over. Tal going OI flick, just a bit too far, picked off from Beatty.
In that zone particularly, we've seen Radiant get trapped on that sideline, and it's almost always a turnover for them, a difficult position that they're learning to work through right now.
So McGregor working with Blay over here in the backfield. Now, a nice reaching grab from Blay to keep possession alive. Working it back over here to Jenkins. And Tobin working it back over to Jenkins. And they're not scared to look off, these open side throws if they're not there.
Well, Hex is kind of built on the idea that it happens faster. You can reset, but once in a while, you get an option deep. But throwing to a player 20 yards away that is running away from you when you can't lead them very far. I mean, the end zone is 20 yards long, right? So you don't have much of a window to lead to them. Radiant able to see that play was coming and have lots of players come in to surround and snack on that.
Yeah, that lead pass just going a bit too far where, other players who the pass wasn't intended for were able to get in there and break it up. And that's going to be down. And, Tempest calling for their end zone vertical stack. Over here to McGregor. Oh, and just a bit too zippy for Guiney to hold on to. But yeah, another chance for Radiant. They're going to be on their front cone. And let's see if they're I believe they have a mantra, Clay, for the tournament, right?
Radiant?
Tempest's mantra.
Oh, Tempest mantra, believe from Ted Lasso. They really rely on chemistry and trust. They have said they know that every person on their team can make big plays and run their team's systems. So everybody's a part of the group on this.
And there you go. Jenkins throwing it to Beatty there in the end zone for another Tempest score. And on the note of Ted Lasso, I know we're commentating Ultimate, but what a fantastic TV show. Clay, have you seen any of it?
I have not.
Why?
I've seen one. Okay, listen. I've seen one clip, and, it was all about practice. And when you're talking about practice, and Devon, were you able to see the sports highlight the day after Allen Iverson was talking about practice in the press conference?
When I was 7 years old?
Well, were you watching? Yeah.
Probably.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe.
And Ted Lasso pulled that off, something I'm interested in. It was funny, though. Transfers to all sports. We're seeing it right now, and we've talked about this with some of the teams out here, the amount of practice that goes in to get here at Nationals, the commitment. You like that segue. And sometimes what's interesting about these games, too, this is the practice, right? These teams haven't been at Nationals that much. This is Tempest's first year at CUCs since 2017, right? Which was here in Ottawa. It is pretty expensive for them to travel with living in Newfoundland. 2022 is when they established their university women's team, and that they've been participating at CUUCs. They also have a contingent of grind mothers here, which you mentioned earlier. They were in Waterloo and came 6th place.
Yeah, that's your age range, right?
Well, yes, it is.
Lovely. Any dig at Clay's master status? You guys will hear me all weekend long. Oh, no, and it looks like there's a bit of an injury in the middle of the field. Looks like that's number 20, Breen, and she is up and okay. So while equipment is not a valid call to stop a game, injury definitely is. Even though some players like Fleming don't need to take ones.
Yeah, if it was Fleming, she'd be fine. See Jessica way deep. I like that look, showing ton of experience leading this team.
Oh, and almost a nice toe in there by Lai, but just teetering on the edge. So we have Wade over here with Dodd, both not scared to throw some big throws. And Wade throwing it up. And that was just a kind of like a punt.
Yeah.
In Ultimate Frisbee, right? Stall count getting a high. Why turn it over in your zone?
Yeah, and Wade's throws have connected in that way several times in this game. So instead of getting stalled down, she takes the shot.
All right, so that's you working it over here. Bit of a tight spot here, having to just navigate these swings, but it looks like Radiant is doing well to keep the disc alive and moving to the break side.
Exactly. Radiant does well. When they get this breakoff trapped on the sideline here, move the biscuit right now, and you will be okay. There it is.
Nice, and a little pop through by Ing.
Cross immediately. Yes, there it is. A little bit of misread.
Hey, but there's two types of mistakes in Ultimate here. You have decision mistakes and you have execution mistakes. And that was a good decision, and you want to reward that. Just the execution was a bit off.
Yeah. Jamie Shum, though, turning on the Jets to cause a turnover. But right away, I mean, Devon, we can see Tempest is setting up what I imagine is a trap here, as they've had a lot of success holding Radiant on the sideline in this zone. So they do trap on the sideline here.
All right, so Shui dumping it over, getting it back, working through their own end zone now. Always a bit of a dangerous place on the ultimate field to have to complete multiple throws within your end zone. But what option do you have when this Tempest zone is stifling all of your upfield movement? So big throw over here. Still in that middle of their end zone, danger zone. You looking for options, finding McDonald. And McDonald's just putting an OI flick out. And that is with the leaping vertical of Guerra to break up that pass. But what do you think about that visionary look?
I feel like Radiant was running out of time. It's a far way to throw, especially when the wing hasn't been challenged or has to cover anyone else. Guerra was able just to wait for that. So I don't really like it.
All right, so Guerra finding number 19, Wheeler. Back over, just working it back and forth. Now O'Reilly controlling the flow of the game. Hull getting wide open there. Back to O'Reilly. And a little give and go, but broken up there.
Good heads up D by Radiant. Don't know if that's a good idea with Jessica Wade in the back, who's been showing a ton of hunger. And look at this explosiveness from her for Tempest.
And that's a shot straight through to the end zone. Oh! And a very close layout attempt by Ali Guerra, but coming up with just a lot of grass.
But I'd love to see that effort at this time and score in the game. Ali Guerra does not care what it is.
And
showing the team she's out here to make big plays.
And Radiant calling a timeout, which means we got to talk more about Ted Lasso. One of my favorite shows. Clay, I know you haven't seen the show, but Jason Sudeikis did wonderful things on that show. Just a lot of positive sport. I think everyone's shaking their head. If you watch Ted Lasso,
you know, I'm with you.
You know what? Bring Desmond
Devon,
over here so I can talk about Ted Lasso with a real fan who would appreciate it. Take Clay off the mic here. Desmond, have you watched?
It's not happening. It's not happening.
I think this could be a Ted Lasso podcast if we really wanted to.
Well, we absolutely could. Perhaps, you know what? If we do not get a halftime interview one day, I will take you up on that. You can explain to me for a good amount of time. It seems that Desmond is definitely on your side with this one. But, I think I'm feeling a little uncultured right now, You know what? I don't blame you. It's on Apple TV. Sorry, it's on Apple TV. That's a really weird subscription to have. Not knocking anyone who has it. I know the Steph Curry documentary is on there too, so there is shows to watch there. But it's a niche one. It's not like it's on Netflix or Disney Plus. Or I feel like a lot of people have Prime these days. I'm at the mercy of whatever my friends want to pay for at this moment. Well, there you have it, everybody. We're back in here.
Back in. Tempest is locked in on this zone. I believe that's McDonald picking up the disc. And a hand block by number 23, Aaron O'Reilly.
That trap has been serving Tempest so well. I think there's a foul call being made here. Part of the backhand, when you're stepping around to make your backhand and holding on to the disc, there's that last flick of the wrist as you lead with your hand. Unlike a forehand, you're leading with the back of your hand on it. So it's very typical for players who are defending to strike the back of your hand before you've released the disc. I believe this discussion's more about when does the stall count come in, looking for a clarification.
But yeah, you're right. This trap has been wreaking havoc on the Radiance throwers, just challenging them on hitting the break side and everything. But hey, doing a nice little dump and swing, pushing it through the middle here.
This is great. This is the
Clay
movement.
is a big fan.
Yeah, we've been looking for this movement from Radiant on against this zone all the time. Look, if it's not there right away upfield, we're moving the disc right away, finding the hole. I don't like that. I don't like that. And a whiff, unfortunately, from Shum. Breaks that up, but way better movement from Radiant in that zone O that time.
All right. Wade working it around, always looking so threatening with her fakes. Over to Guerra. Dodd just running up the line and reeling that one in for the 13th Tempest score.
Jamie Shum pulled off of that attempt on Maria Dodd's up line. I'm 100% with her on making that decision, as she would have blindsided Dodd through physical contact had she made an attempt on that, which has been a dangerous play that we've actually seen over the course of this week in the junior division. We saw it a little bit in our senior division play this afternoon. I had a really interesting conversation with the observers earlier today on the dangerous play, and it is all about decision making. Talking about the result is not what's important. It's about choosing to keep things safe, and you saw that done there by Jamie Shum. I think Maria Dodd had that up the line all the way, right? I don't think Shum did have a play on that disc, but we do see players who are hungry for the D sometimes make ill-advised decisions to put themselves in that position anyway, and all they do is basically dummy the receiver. So, you know, Maria Dodd, great cut up the line, deserves that goal, and Jamie Shum, way to keep the game safe.
Yeah, and you mentioned about making those safe plays. It's really about as a defender, you should not be taking a line to the disc that takes you through the offensive player. No matter how close you think or if you think you can get the disc first, like, player safety should be your number one priority, especially because, you know, this isn't a full-time job for most people who play Ultimate. Like, people have work on Monday. People have to go to school. We can't be getting injured like this all the time. But Radiant back on offense, a little reinvigorating now. Lamb with his streaking red hair, dumping it back to Lee.
I think there's far less pressure on Radiant right now with the score as it is, the time as it is. Now they can just work on the skills, and it's going really well.
Yes, this is number 8, Ko, just outside the end zone. Finding the reset in Lee. Lee working it over. Twinkle toes from Cabarros. Oh, and Tempest, hot pressure there. Number 44, Feng, over to Lee. And that working it over to Lamb for a Radiant hold. And that's some of the best offense they've had of the day.
And look how smooth and chill it was. You know, sometimes I know we're a little bit far away. We're kind of high up off the ground here, Devon, but you and I certainly can feel the energy that these teams exude, right? And first half, it felt a little bit of a panic and nervousness off of Radiant when you read that body language. Right there, it was, yeah, we're just playing Ultimate. We're just playing Ultimate. We know how to do this. We know how to run. We trust each other. We know each other to move the disc right, and they get results that way. Tempest had some close bids on some plays there. Their defense has been excellent this game. They've really worked that zone, and they did a great job of running that zone defense before. Well, I should say they ran it at a time and exploited Radiant's sort of crumbling under pressure on it, not knowing what to do very early on to take the lead, right? But, you know, and the fact that they stuck with it the whole game was a very smart decision. It worked so well. So I don't want to take that away from them. But now Radiant is just seeming to relax a little bit. We don't need to think about the score so much when you want to see teams develop. Like if you're coaching, it's just about how are we going to get better no matter what.
Yeah. And a nice little give-go between McGregor and Fleming to start the point. But, yeah, some tight person defense right now, shutting down a lot of these early Tempest cuts. So we have McGregor looking for some options. And that is a hand block by number 91, Tiffany Hu. And let's see if Radiant can get a break here on Tempest. Lee picking up the disc unmarked. Looking big. Over to Chu. Back down to Lee. Showing a lot of trust in Lee here. A nice OI flick. Just a bit too far for Gray, but what do you think about that movement off the turn?
Movement off the turn, great. I thought that flick was actually going to be lower and set up to a center handler. I mean, the breaking the mark around skills are there. Throwing it all the way across the field,
and
difficult,
a nice
but immediately
run through D from Who. Looking it over to number two, and then that is Lou beating her chest for the first Radiant break of the game. Are we about to see Radiant rattle off 8 more breaks?
I don't think they can pull that off in 10 minutes. In fact, I think it's less than 10 minutes. This game started at
5:15.
5:15, so we're actually approaching hard cap in 7 minutes. So
okay,
perhaps a little too little too late from Radiant. Tempest, you know, their offense has just been clicking today, especially with that Hex from their O-line. Wasn't challenged on the open side at all. Their timing was great. They set up a great zone defense that they built a big lead during the beginning of the game. We've seen some players like Wade continue to keep that energy up for their team. So I don't think Radiant has it. Well, Radiant, let's face it, does not have a shot anymore. But can Tempest keep their energy up and keep going?
Yeah, and we can still appreciate, you know, Radiant, they got 2 Ds, 2 earned defensive blocks on that point. So getting some momentum in for their pool play games tomorrow, because what will happen is both of these 2 teams will drop down and play, I don't know the specific pool letters, maybe B.
Does Tempest drop down if they win?
No. Yes. They both are 0-2 right now, so Tempest will carry this win into their lower pool play game tomorrow, and then try to win the pool to cross up and try to finish in the top 8.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a bit of a classic Ultimate Canada tournament format where you had 16 teams. The top 2 teams in each pool will go into a power pool with another pool, so, you know, they'll play another 2 games. You know, last from the power pool, first from the lower pool is going to play a crossover, a little pre-quarterfinal, and then seed themselves for quarters, semis, and finals to finish out the tournament.
Pick call downfield doesn't seem to be against Kathleen Sullivan. So I think she should keep the disc, but it could have been 2 throws ago. I mean, Tempest just marching the disc down the field. They have sealed this win, regardless, thanks to the fact that just mathematically there's no way for Radiant to make up the time with the gap. But, you know, showing that they have the hunger all the way and just love playing the game.
Wheeler needing some option late here in the stall count. And that is Costigan over to Moffitt, and a great just missing Blade there at the front cone. So 2's in. A big shot there, looking for Lai. But you know what?
I don't like that one.
You don't like that one, but they are trying things.
Yes.
Great toe in from McGregor. McGregor finding number 9 in Sullivan. That's Jenkins here with the disc. Over to McGregor. That Hex just working, flowing.
What a pass.
And Sullivan going long, and what a great put. I'm sure Tempest would love to reach 15 for the first time today and really shut this game down off of this last defensive possession.
Was that Sophie Blais with the toss there? Well, whoever it was. I'm a big fan. Throwing that OI to the break side, very difficult to defend. And also leading the receiver, the one place where a defender who's underneath, who's fronting, cannot possibly get to. I think we're going to, well, I shouldn't say that. Because Radiant is on offense right now. Game to 15, will we get there? Doesn't really matter, right? But with the break here, Tempest could win the game in the scoring way.
Yeah, and it's always more fun to get to 15, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you feel like you carried it all the way as a complete game.
So, very important pull here for Tempest. You know, they're crossing over to get the matchups. Wade's going to put in a big pull and hopefully get some disadvantaged field position for Radiant. But Radiant trying to keep themselves in the game. Down a bit, but have looked so much better in this last quarter of the game. So we have Gray looking here over to Lee. Gray and Lee just going back and forth here, working through this Tempest zone. Nice swing over to Hu. And then 2 gets it. Great throw through to Carissa Ng, one of the captains of this team. And a good decision, but a mis-execution by Hu, giving Tempest a chance to break for the win. So Dodd picking it up, looking through her options, finds Fleming. And a bit of a missed throw, but we had someone there to clean up the garbage.
Fatowski, good heads-up play.
So Wade over to this break side, finding Wheeler. And then Dodd just outside the end zone, really pushing, trying to will Tempest to this break. A nice little inside, and that is Wade over there to Fleming, holding the disc up high, and Tempest do it, winning 15-5 over, so Newfoundland's Tempest winning 15-5 over Richmond's Radiant. Radiant can hold their head high after this game, right, Clay? What do you want them to take away from this 15-5 loss, but a great learning opportunity?
Well, yeah, and it was a steady improvement and adapting to the things they needed to work on, the things they needed to do throughout the game. I was starting to get a little frustrated in the first half with a lack of comments on the open side, but you were here to help me through that, and so was Radiant, as they finally started making changes, and they really came through. They did such a good job of kind of relaxing and trying to get better. Tempest, though, consistency from their O-line was really solid in their timing. We saw some big leadership from Jessica Wade that game, really directing her team on offense and what she wanted and keeping the disc moving very, very quickly. So Tempest playing a pretty solid game and what they were looking for earlier in this tournament.
And for me, my biggest takeaways for this game is how young this Radiant team is, right? A lot of them coming from, the Richmond high school system, the Prime Club over there in Vancouver, and UBC, probably from the Thunderwolves and the T-Birds, and they're just going to get to grow so much. So they're getting put in positions where they have to take on big roles, in a club nationals, and that's learning experience for the growth of their careers, right? Because if we zoom out, they're probably going to be playing Frisbee for the next at least 5 to 10 years. Yeah. Hopefully more. And so, they'll remember games like this where they're able to try things. And same thing for Tempest. They grew a lot, and they kept their foot on the gas pedal the entire game. They didn't let up and let Radiant back into the game with, some misexecuted throws and stuff. So I think Tempest can hold their head high with playing a full, complete match, winning 15-5 and having control of it the entire time.
Well, with that, we will have several streams tomorrow. I believe we have 4 stream slots.
Starting off with Harfang versus Danger Noodle.
So tune in for that. Our crew will be here. Really excited to bring you some mixed action to begin. Myself, Clay, and my colleague here, my young colleague that is far more in tune than I am, Devon, will be with you. And, our producer, Sarah, doing a great job of keeping us on task today. Desmond getting on the stream and working the camera. We thank you for that. We will see you tomorrow.